Lopez, Vice President, General Manager of Intel Sports. And Sandra, we've heard a lot of people talk about, kind of a lot of generalities around fan engagement. I'm excited to talk to you kind of about a specific individual thing, and that's Intel's work with Liverpool and volumetric video, which I know is a mouthful for people out there who don't know what that is. So we're going to play a quick video just to get you all up to speed, and then Sandra and I were going to talk about it.
Volumetric video. It's a new media format that delivers immersive media experiences across a variety of devices. But how does it actually work? Instead of placing a few cameras in strategic locations, as is done in traditional video production, volumetric video uses an array of high-quality cameras surrounding the field of play, resulting in a rich source of data that can be used to recreate the full three-dimensional volume of a field, court, or pitch. Intel TrueView combines proprietary algorithms with the extreme processing power of Intel-based servers and PCs, so the data captured by each camera can be combined with data from every other camera, allowing visual information recorded as two-dimensional pixels to be processed and recreated as three-dimensional voxels. This gives content creators a unique set of capabilities, such as positioning and moving virtual cameras almost anywhere throughout the scene, enabling the creation of stunning visual stories and providing fans with new immersive experiences, like seeing the play unfold in full 360 views from a selected player's perspective.
So there it is, Sandra, volumetric video. You guys last year partnered with Liverpool on this. By the way, how about that timing on the partnership? They win a Champions League title, and they also win EPL title. Is Intel responsible for that? Can you guys take credit for some piece of that?
I wish we could take credit. I mean, we're part of it, but ultimately it's obviously their leadership. And I think what I really get excited about Liverpool and many of our other partners, and I heard Jessica talk a little bit about the fan before jumping on, is that, I mean, sports is entertainment. And if you think about it, the more macro picture around entertainment, consumers are going to concerts. Esports is entertainment. So the world of entertainment is changing and evolving, and it provides an opportunity for the leagues and the teams to reimagine what is that experience. I heard about like Disneyland and having the pass. And I do think that Liverpool has viewed kind of their charter of how do we drive entertainment across not only the fans that are going to Anfield, but also around the world, and providing the experiences as close to possible any place and any time. So super excited about what we've accomplished with Liverpool. It's great to sit there and work together in terms of a strategic business partnership of understanding their needs and how do we bring value to the fan while also ensuring that they get fan feedback and us adjusting our product and our development cycles accordingly.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's such an interesting point. Kind of one of the big differences, I think, between European soccer and maybe some, leagues we have here domestically in the US. Most fans of the Tampa Bay Rays probably have the ability to go to a game fairly easily. The international footprint of Liverpool means that the vast majority of their fans probably live thousands of miles away and will never get even close to Anfield. So, something like volumetric video, and I would assume, correct me if I'm wrong, is you trying to build a live experience, something new to fans who, might be thousands of miles away in a different continent.
But I would say, Evan, too, it's not only like thousands of miles away. If you think about in the US specifically and what's happening with even the economic divide, I mean, there's a lot of people that are avid fans and would love to go watch their favorite NFL team or NBA team, but the economics to take entire family is no longer there. So how do you think about that reality and bring them as close to possible to the games? And then with the whole digitization of everything is that we now as consumers have access to a wealth of information. And if you think about the experiences that they're getting at esports, they're going to expect those experiences in traditional sports as well. And, fans are going to vote with their time, right? They're going to vote obviously with their wallet, but also with their time, and who's bringing these engaging experiences that, especially right now with COVID, is going to take them away from reality. And so I think understanding the climate in which we exist in and how behavior is also changing at an accelerated rate. How do you meet that demand?
Another thing I was thinking of just in watching that video, teams like Liverpool that have such a diverse international audience, a lot of those people speak different languages. This is a product that is, speaks the same language to everybody, whether you're in India trying to toggle around with the camera, whether you're in China or, in England. Unlike written pieces of content, a lot of video content, yours is a product that can be unrolled and is the same thing to everybody in all places at once.
Yeah, no, it's and that's the intention in terms of bringing. We look at Intel because we're a hardware company. We're forced to look ahead into the future, and with that, it's understanding society, culture, trends. And several years ago, when we embarked on this journey of immersive media, we were understanding the sports industry. In reality, it didn't change much, for the past several decades. I remember sitting down watching NFL with my dad every Sunday night in front of the big couch. And arguably, I look at my daughter now and the same thing is happening. So the notion of bringing consumers and fans are also they're individuals. So they want to pick and choose the perspective that they want, not necessarily fixed by 4 finite cameras. They all have their favorite players and favorite teams, and being able to populate and personalize, very similar to what happens with Spotify, right? They provide you this personalization in terms of the mix of the week, and how do we bring those experiences into sports? And so we're excited in terms of, we're a technology engineering company. What Intel does very well is focus on the most complex problems and bringing volumetric video, which is 3-dimensional. So imagine capturing the game, deconstructing, reconstructing the experience in 3D, spatial computing, almost near real time with the quality that fans want, is what I often tell the engineers, you guys are working on something that is magical. If we can solve this, we can probably solve anything. And so Intel's, our core is computational power, and this requires computational power for each match game. It's 3 terabytes a match, which is pretty significant. And it requires working with new partners and making sure that infrastructure is put in place with our network partners. So it's something that Intel excels at. It also just takes time. It's like what you just saw, the video you showed, it's the beginning of what you're going to see, 2 years down the road.
I'm glad you brought up infrastructure. When the MetLife Stadium was being constructed here in New York a couple of years ago, I took a tour of it before it was finished. I was shocked at how much infrastructure behind the scenes was related just to the tech, right? The areas where the wiring was going to be was essentially a tunnel. You could walk through it. That's how much wiring they were expecting. When you go to a venue like Anfield, which is 130 years old, I know it's been updated a bit since then. What do you need to have on site server-wise? Obviously 30-something cameras. What does the installation look like for a project like this? Yeah,
it starts with understanding the blueprint of the venue and really working with our partners and understanding what the infrastructure, the fibers that exist, how do you run the gigabytes of data, and does it exist or do we need to install it? Equally important is the camera placements. How do you make sure, because they all have to be placed strategically to ultimately calibrate and bring the content they're capturing together. So it's like an architecture. Phase 1 is understanding the architecture, understanding what's required. Phase 2 is the implementation of all the hardware. And then phase 3 begins really the testing and capturing. And phase 4, which we all get excited, is the magical moment where we can deliver these unique perspectives to the fan. And I go back to the Liverpool case study and looking at some of the social media commentary where they were saying wow, what type of camera movement is that? And some people think that literally the NFL specifically, because they have helmets, that there are cameras in the helmet, and they're not cameras in the helmet. It's basically virtual cameras that you can pick and choose. So it is a very disciplined approach in terms of understanding the foundation of the arena and what needs to be there to support all the data, all the way to the team that, I mean, they come from, our producers come from sports broadcast, but it's also completely new technology. So think about reimagining storytelling. And so now you're bringing media and tech together to create a new media format.
What do you see that makes you feel like this is working really well? Is it comments like that is, wow, that's a cool angle? I know you guys looked at, video views and how long people were staying on Liverpool social media. Those were kind of up relative to the rest of the EPL. What are the metrics you're looking for that shows, oh, this is a technology that is really capturing fans in the way we want it to?
I mean, we look at several metrics, but obviously the quantifiable metrics. But what I get really excited is whether it's a coach or a team or a league or even for a fan, that they were able to unpack the play in ways that they traditionally cannot unpack the play, and they can pick and choose. And so when we're starting to get the feedback where a coach is like, wow, I can see how this can be applied to training and operations, you're starting to see, like, volumetric video, because it's so new. I use the analogy of the Apple Store, right? We know the current potential, but you don't know all the other services that will be created out of volumetric video. And the usage of using our skeletal data to apply it to esports and gaming to make that experience better. So for me, what I get excited is starting to pick apart the even future potential that we're not even focused on right now, because we're really focusing on delivering near real time, high quality experiences for the fans. But you're starting to see that volumetric video is going to become a new media format, just like HD became a new media format, just like digital did, and just seeing the potential, the questions and the inquiries that we get, like, well, can you do this with volumetric video? And some of the things we didn't even think about. So that's what we get excited about at Intel, is we're about an ecosystem bringing media partners, the leagues, the teams, the storytellers together to really unpack the potential of volumetric video.
I think if I was a Premier League referee, I would be trying to break into Intel's office and destroy the source code for this thing. Everybody benefits from this. I feel like the teams, the players, the fans, the referees. I feel like now, people are already arguing over every single call they make. Now that I can, on my phone, see if that ball was actually in or out, or if, that foot made contact with that shin before the player went down, they seem to be the ones that are going to lose out here.
Well, that's the whole conversation around. It's a macro, like the world of automation. And, we have a belief that technology should add value, but also the referees add a level of science that zero and ones can't. So sure. We like to look at, like, okay, it's complementary. And the referees actually do see the potential. And then it's just how it's all going to play out in the logistics. But it's never an either or, it's an and being very thoughtful of the usage and how it can help them versus, maybe replace them.
Kind of an obligatory COVID-19 question here. As, the entire sports world wrestles with what the new normal is going to look like for live events and also for watching events at home, how do you think about kind of the way that this can be used to tailor make what the future is like for, in fan viewing and in venue viewing, and also, you and I sitting on our couches watching soccer?
Right. Well, COVID has been a challenge to obviously the sports industry at large, but also if you look at what's happening on the digital landscape, the fans still wanted to see content. So if I looked at some of the data, there's been year-over-year increase with some of the Bleacher Report data. OTT services are increasing. So on our side, our business has become an accelerator because of COVID, because now the leagues and teams are looking at, we need to reimagine how we're going to bring these experiences to fans and not be so dependent on linear experiences. And so Adam Silver talks a lot about that in terms of reimagining how they're going to entertain the next generation of fans. And I would say, arguably, I mean, with the Liverpool case study, the same thing. They're taking a step back and saying, how do we leverage technology to kind of weaponize our business and accelerate our business? And so for us, we understand what has happened on the operations side and all the revenue losses that have occurred because fans can't go into the arena. And for us, our hearts go out to the sports industry. But on the flip side, on the digitization of sports, everybody has seen an accelerator to that offering.
For sure. And specifically on this piece of technology, kind of what do you think about as the future? Is it, helping teams when they're in the training room reviewing video of games? Is it, broadcasters? Are we going to see this kind of live or even semi-live on NBC telecasts for Liverpool games here? What does it look like?
It's all. I mean, the broadcasters are still playing with it. I think what will be really interesting is think about how there's prosumers, right? Think about the TikTok users. I do believe we will, with volumetric video, once we give the fan the control, there'll be like pro storytellers that will be telling the story and breaking down the plays. So from our perspective, volumetric video is available to the current broadcasters. You have the new digital giants, right? So Amazon, Twitters of the world. So from our standpoint, it's available to all. It's really working with the league because they own the content. This is their IP. And how do we best distribute the content given upcoming media rights and how they're deciding to structure those respective strategies. So for us is it kind of plays into who Intel is. We're kind of Switzerland. We're kind of the middle of everything. We enable the entire ecosystem, and we work with our partners to understand what's the best way to introduce volumetric video to the masses.
How do you see the technology, specifically the cameras and the infrastructure, that changing, moving forward? Is there a world in which it's a lot easier to set up? It's simpler. It's, we can do this for, youth soccer games and things like that? Or do you think it kind of always remains, a very, set in an arena, in a stadium type of thing?
No, I think technology can take you to many different places. I do think one thing that's really important is to step back and think about the technology development cycle. So like PCs, it took 18 years, even the smartphone, I think it was like 12 years, because oftentimes you think about iPhone and how it penetrated the market in 5 years, but there was the entire infrastructure that was put in place before that. And so with volumetric video, it's going to get better over time. I mean, our speed went from 3 minutes to 30 seconds. So every year with technology, you see an iteration, innovation, and then you iterate and innovate along the way. And what we hope is that ultimately we become a platform as a service akin to what like the Apple Store became, and all these services were created that we did not even anticipate. I mean, I don't think Steve Jobs took a step back and said, I'm creating the Apple Store and these type of businesses will exist, and he could have imagined Airbnb. Like, that technology is oftentimes you have an idea, you create it, and then all these additive services will be generated that you did not anticipate. And then we get feedback from the market. You get feedback from your partners, and you take those ideas and you develop and you build upon it. So it's not an easy question to answer. I do think the magical thing about technology is always unknown. And the thing that's important is on your journey is always ensure you're doing it technology for good. And a very big position that we have at Intel is, the ethical computing and making sure that we democratize and provide access to all, and think about the AI engine that's happening, the artificial intelligence engine, and we're very careful about the algorithms that we're creating.
Well, Sandra, I am looking forward to whatever that looks like in the future, to see how kind of this iterates and changes as the tech gets better and all that. I thank you for talking with me, and hand it back over to Scott. I've got one more panel. Thanks to everyone who's sticking with us.